President Donald Trump's indictment on Tuesday, a historic day as he went before a judge on those criminal charges.
The Manhattan judge unsealed Mr. Trump's indictment and read out the 34 charges that he's facing. WHAS11's Jim Stratman joins us here in the studio. And Jim, can you break down all that we learned yesterday? And before you even start, I know that is a very daunting thing to ask.
Yes, exactly. 34 charges, all of them allegedly felonies, most stemming from alleged hush money payments that the former president and his team made to an adult film star before the 2016 election. That's what we all know at this point, but what we really kind of learned yesterday was that the Manhattan DA says that this was a pattern that Trump acted in time and time again. District Attorney Alvin Bragg says that his department's investigation showed Trump repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal criminal conduct that could have damaged his image before the 2016 presidential election. Now, in New York, falsifying business records is typically a misdemeanor, but it can be upgraded to a felony if it's tied to another case like tax or campaign finance violations. The Manhattan DA's office says it's bringing forth new evidence in this case, but Trump's team continues to insist that this is nothing more than political persecution.
A catch and kill scheme. That is a scheme to buy and suppress negative information to help Mr. Trump's chance of winning the election.
It's shocking to me that a state prosecutor would try and prosecute something as thin as this and prosecute a violation of federal election laws when they're state prosecutors.
Judge Juan Merchan did not issue a gag order in this case, which is something that we thought he might do yesterday. He did tell Trump to refrain from making comments that are, quote, likely to incite violence. Now, Trump is due back in court on December 4th. His trial is set to begin in January of 2024. Eric, Haley?
All right, Jim, thank you so much. Kentucky political experts are weighing in on what this means for former President Trump and the Republican frontrunners in the highly contentious gubernatorial race here in Kentucky. Now, two of them have close ties to Trump. WHS11's Bobby McSwine talked to an expert who thinks Trump's indictment is only going to bolster support for those GOP candidates.
This is clearly Trump country.
Kentucky, where former President Donald Trump won by a nearly 30% margin in 2020 over President Joe Biden. A state where Louisville political science professor Dr. Dewey Clayton says Trump can't fail.
This is something that actually will probably, in the short term anyway, clearly benefit former President Trump and many people that support him.
And there are two big supporters in Kentucky's governor's race, GOP frontrunners Kelly Craft and Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Cameron receiving Donald Trump's endorsement last summer, sharing his message on Twitter. In response to Trump's indictment, Cameron issued a statement saying, like many Kentuckians, I'm appalled by the political weaponization of our justice system against President Trump. He goes on to say that the move, quote, appeases the desires of the far left. Kraft, the former Trump-appointed ambassador, tweeted this days ago. Leftists will stop at nothing, including political prosecution, to stop President Donald Trump.
Some people may look at this as being politically motivated. Like I said, I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but if people perceive it that way and decide they want to, one, open up their wallet, and two, it will motivate them.
In Louisville, Bobby McSwine, WHAS 11 on your side.
January polling from the Mason-Dixon Polling Company shows Governor Andy Beshear holds a significant lead over GOP contenders. Clayton says only time will tell if the dynamics will shift because of Trump. We've got in-depth coverage of all of this week's historic events online. All you got to do is go to WHAS11.com, our free news app, or the WHAS11 YouTube page. Right now, investigators are working to determine the cause of a fire at a St. Matthews apartment complex. This happened last night around 8:30 at Jamestown Apartments off Breckenridge Lane. St. Matthews Mayor Rick Tenenny, who also speaks for the fire department, told us a resident left the apartment with food on the stove. When she came back, the fire had started. Several departments responded to the fire. We're told no one was hurt.
The LMPD is investigating after two people were rushed to the hospital following a shooting in the Parkland neighborhood. The LMPD says this happened on Catalpa Street near Woodland Avenue around 8:15 last night. Officers found a man and a woman who were both shot multiple times. Police say the man is in his mid-20s and is critically injured. The woman, who's around the same age, was shot in the lower part of her body but is expected to survive. Investigators are asking anyone with information to call the anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD. And police believe the man who was found on West Main Street in Portland after he was potentially shot will recover. Officers found him around 10 last night with either a gunshot wound or a shrapnel wound in his back. Metro Police think the shooting actually happened at 13th and Bulger Court in Algonquin, about 4 miles away. The man was taken to WHAS Hospital for treatment.
Louisville native and rapper Jack Harlow will have to give a recorded deposition in a wrongful death lawsuit. The suit's in connection to a shooting on Derby weekend in 2021 when Harlow and his former DJ, Ronnie O'Bannon, were at a club on River Road. O'Bannon is charged with shooting and killing club bartender Kashmira Nash. Nash's family is suing Harlow and Louisville's Vibes nightclub. They claim the club allowed the group to bypass security and O'Bannon's gun went undetected. Harlow's deposition interview will happen in late August.
Crews are making some real progress in the effort to stabilize the two barges stuck at the McAlpin Dam, and they continue to work this morning as part of a plan to transfer methanol from one of those barges to another vessel. We're told there are still no signs of any methanol leaks from that barge.
Colleen, the time is always changing with weather. We never know here in Kentucky, Anna, so it is so important to be weather aware.
Yeah, especially as we head throughout the day. We are tracking some storms capable of producing some strong winds right now just northwest of Paducah. Now, that's kind of close to our area. It looks like it's going to head just to the north of Evansville on kind of that north-northeast track. So it's likely going to miss us, but we have more storms on the way. I will time out those impacts and when we are weather aware coming up.